All right, good morning, everybody.
GM.
Hey.
GM. Are we set to continue to the DAO call now?
We're waiting on China.
Oh, right.
I don't have that gift. I think he has it. There you go.
Yes.
There it is.
Okay. Let's get down to business. Yeah, hope everyone's doing
Well,
okay.
I think we got, Roxanne, I think we got like 3 minutes left. So
Okay.
are we getting down to business early? Because I'm just gonna say, like, I'm gonna acknowledge like the thing going in the chat with Megan. He's been going in the chat about our 3 million that we raised from the DAO. And I'm just gonna say, like, we see that stuff. And if you think like we're not gonna react, those days are over. We're not gonna put up with it.
You're not going to put up with it? Dude, I'm not going to put up with it. All I said was straight facts, man. You're sitting here coming at me with personal attacks. What is it that I said that's false? Tell me.
You've been insinuating that we took the 3 million to do
And rug
ABC,
the project
and you're not
that
happy with the
you're going to
result.
deliver immediately
And
after. You fired all the employees that you
excuse me,
said
I'm
that you had
talking.
to pay for.
One at a time, Lagan. Hold your peace. You're the guy with no credibility that came in, literally should have been kicked out from day one when you came in. You came in with, according to a lot of people who watched you knock off and try to sell art on our platform. When
I never
you
tried
had
to
a
sell
fake
that
knockoff, and you didn't. Yes, you did. Everybody here with a long memory
Who cares?
remembers,
Piece
and
of
those who
shit.
don't
Just-
can look it
Who
up.
cares? You're bringing up ancient history because you have no point, man. You have no
Ancient
point.
history,
You're
it's
just
still your
personally
character.
attacking me, bringing up ancient
It's a
history
testament to your
because you have no
character.
points, man. Everything I'm saying is exactly true, and you have no point. Just sit this one out. Dude.
You're
Sit this
not gonna
one
let
out.
me
It's not
talk.
about me.
You're not gonna let
It's
me
not
talk.
about me. You're just hurt that I said the truth. Sit this one out, man.
What's the
Cool.
truth? You spell it out. Spell it
Yeah,
out.
the fact that we paid
You
$3
know, go
million
ahead.
for GIFs, man, and here we are with nothing basically, but GIFs, no Geist, no nothing, switching the narrative again, pivoting. Oh, Geist was a bad idea. After, why wasn't it a bad idea before you took the 3 million? I wonder.
This is
You see what I'm
important. Air
saying?
it out.
So
we can
don't give me
adjust.
shit, man.
Go
Don't give me
ahead.
shit about it. Tell me, oh, we've had enough.
The only thing you're
We've had
useful
enough.
for.
We've
The
had
only
enough.
thing.
What?
Right. Is it my turn yet?
Go ahead.
All right. So first of all, you have zero credibility. Let's start with that.
Oh, first of all, I have zero credibility. Prove that I have zero credibility. I don't agree with that statement. Don't tell me, first of all, you have zero credibility. If you want to talk,
you earned it.
talk.
You earned it.
Then personally attack me.
It.
Switch subject, man. Switch subject. Sit this one out. We can do this in DMs. I'm not going to sit there and fight with you over a DAO call or whatever.
No, you do it in public all the time, and we never punch back. We never punch back. But I'm just telling you.
All I said was, you want to punch? You want to punch back? Is this what you're doing? Okay, so you're proving my point. See, you can't answer
what do you mean?
the issue at hand, so you want to punch back. You get it hurt, you want to hit me back.
What is your issue at hand?
You said my end game? What is your end game?
You built Aavegotchi. You built like
dude, you have no idea what you're talking about. You're sitting there spewing lies saying I took money and I didn't deliver a game. That's my failure, not me, buddy. No. We delivered exactly what we got paid to deliver. Okay.
Why not open source it?
Why not open source it? What do you mean? Why not 100 million other things? This is not the point. Again, see, you're just changing the subject.
It's one.
You're under fire and you know it.
And you to credibility.
Why haven't I opened? This is the biggest problem facing Aavegotchi today. Why haven't I open sourced it?
We see you.
If it needs to be open sourced,
extracting and throwing shade.
You see me extracting?
You should.
That's rich, buddy. That's rich. That is rich.
Dude,
extracting, bro. What the heck?
Yes, quite literally.
Okay, guys, I'm going to jump in.
Aavegotchi?
Gentlemen, I'm going to jump in only because we have a procedure, and it is 1 minute after the hour. So we can continue this conversation, but we should go into our DAO business. I
know. I just want to say one thing before we got into it, and that was where you see when bad actors are acting this way in the Discord, and we're not going to take it anymore. We will punch
bad actors. More like,
you're on notice.
You know what I mean? Bad actors. Okay, I'm a bad actor because I said the truth, because I called you guys out.
Dude, you've been caught multiple times. I just gave you 2 examples
I've been
where
caught
you just
multiple times. I'm a
failed the
bad
sniff
actor
test.
because of a fake gotchi art background. Give me a break, dude. Give me a break. Your argument is
It's
so
pretty,
weak. You're
yeah,
grasping
it
at
speaks to your
straws right
character.
now.
You
You're
can
so
pretend it
weak,
didn't
Jesse.
happen.
Just you should really stop. I don't give a shit if it happened or it didn't happen, man. Just like when it happened, you tried to do this whole thing, and you know what I mean. And I didn't give a shit then, and I don't give a shit now, man. It's literally retarded what you're talking about. It makes no difference to anybody here.
I hope
But
everybody.
you guys
I
taking
hope
3 million
everybody.
and not delivering what you guys promised to makes a huge difference to everybody here.
We are putting
Jesse,
in
okay?
60-hour
Please, man.
weeks with the full team on
Please, bro.
full burn. You don't even know
Please.
what you're
Okay,
talking
man, but it's not
about.
surprising that you're so out of touch that you have no idea what you're talking about. Just like you're so out of touch that when everybody's yelling at you, we don't want this gotchi verse, you keep saying, oh, gotchi verse. Nobody cares about gotchi verse, and you're out of touch, and you don't seem to realize that. Just like you keep saying false things about Stratagotchi, like you never delivered shit. What do you mean we never delivered? We did deliver, literally. And then I made another
You're
prop.
rambling. You're rambling.
Update the game. No, I'm not
Calm down,
rambling.
sir. You're
It's a
rambling.
very valid point here. You're talking shit about me not delivering Stratagotchi. We
You sound
clearly
stressed.
delivered. Yeah, you're
You
stressing me
sound
out.
stressed. You
You're,
sound
you're,
like a
sitting here,
hacker.
you're the founder of Aavegotchi,
Yeah.
and you're sitting here lying to your whole audience and to me
Yeah.
directly to my face, talking about I'm the reason why Aavegotchi isn't shit
we've
today,
been-
man. That's a joke.
All right, try harder. Try harder. If you can calm down, what we're saying is we've had our roadmap. We're executing on it. We've been here every Saturday,
All right.
super
Yeah, your
transparent with
roadmap.
everybody about what we're building. You, on the other hand, show up on
funny
a
to me.
Thursday,
It's
Friday,
funny to
just
me that you
throwing
think
shit on
this.
the wall like a monkey, and we all see it. And
Okay.
we're not going to
Okay,
take it
bro.
anymore. We're not
You're
going
not
to
gonna
take it.
take it in.
You
Okay,
want to be
right.
professional. You want to be an adult. You can
You be
show up and
professional.
try. But
You be professional.
we see
You be
what you
professional.
do,
Stop
dude. We've seen it
personally
all week.
attacking people because they're talking
We
about
see-
your work, man.
Anyway, you're on
If I
notice.
see
You're on
garbage, I'm
notice.
gonna call it out, just like you're gonna call out a background from a freaking art piece that I did 3 years ago. You know what I mean? Yeah, I'm gonna call you out too, man.
And shout out to No Future and Chonya and all the guys that are being responsible adults at the DAO and showing up and trying to fix the mess that is over there. But don't think it's free, that we have to come in at the midnight hour and show up and provide our resources to fix what's going on with the DAO when you guys have had a
I don't even know what
foundation
you're
for
talking
2
about right
years.
now. You're just talking right now. You're just saying random things. The
You're a
DAO
director
and
now. Are you
the
not a
fake
director?
Gatsby. Bro, you're talking. You're literally grasping
not
at
a
straws.
director?
What is your point?
My point is that
Nothing.
this is not a message to you. First of all, this last message is just like, we're heading into the DAO hour. I don't want to take up any more time. Let's get focused. And I think No Future has some very important things to say about what Dan and I's company is doing to save your guys' asses, because it's about to
making up
go
lies. Is my only thing.
under. You understand?
Just
Your
start making
company,
up
your
lies.
foundation is on a hair, hanging by a hairline.
Whose fault is that, Jesse? Is that my fault? Because I drew a
That's
bad
the
background
DAO's.
3 years ago.
That's the DAO's.
Okay,
You know,
so stop
we
changing the
asked the
subject.
question. But anyway, I don't want to waste everybody's
we
time.
could
We got a
talk
lot of
about
people
that,
here.
Yeah,
40
guys,
plus
please.
people.
People,
you know,
listen to me. Hear me out,
You're
please.
called out. That's right.
We can.
You're called out.
We can do this in the chat because we do have to take care of like that, thing hanging by a thread. That's important, and I understand that this is a very heated conversation, but we do need to give Roxiano some respect because she is the host. And let's start this DAO hour. We can get into this, but we need to just kind of go through what we need to go through first. Respectfully. Roxy? Just don't laugh when you unmute.
Okay, can you guys hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, yeah, because I had two mics because I was doing something else with a different mic and then they got mixed up somehow. But anyways, yes, thank you. We will start the proposal summaries now. I'll start with the closed proposals that closed in this past week. First one, Agip 144. The proposal was to allocate 400,000 Ghost from Gotchiverse Player Rewards Wallet for Gotchi Point Season 1. It was created by Coder Dan. Ended last Tuesday, the 8th. 76% voting power was in favor. and the quorum reached 111%. So, in conclusion of that proposal, we are sunsetting the Geist chain, Alchemica, and Glitter in favor of the simpler Gotchi token. And it will be replaced with the the amount from the player rewards wallet. The next closed proposal is Agip 143 to make Aavegotchi based again. Another proposal by Coder Dan. It ended on Tuesday the 8th with 93.25% in favor and 115% of the quorum met. So in conclusion of that one, we are migrating Aavegotchi to the base chain. And more announcements will be made about the timeline soon. Active proposals. There is only one right now. It ends in just a few days, Monday the 14th. It is for adjusting quorum requirements and increasing voter XP. This one was proposed by Phantasma. The problem that needs to be solved that is mentioned in this proposal is that with a stark imbalance of voting power, most being in the hands of the few, essential proposals have the possibility of not passing even though most DAO members are in favor. The proposed solution is excluding DAO-owned Ghost from the count and establishing a new minimum quorum of 7.2 million Ghost. Earned XP for voting will also be doubled with this proposal. 94% is currently in favor. And again, voting ends Monday the 14th, but it already met quorum. I believe it's at 112% unless it changed. Yes, no, it's still at 112%. Okay. Yep. And that is it for the proposal summaries today. And we can move on to the discussion slots. We have one slot today. That is for this Discord channel that I will copy into the chat right now. Establishing a discretionary fund and administrative strategy for the AavegotchiDAO Foundation by No Futuristic. And to summarize, the main goals from this discussion are to remove Mycalium from his official role of leadership and to establish a more stable form of legal structure for the directors of the DAO in accordance with Cayman Island law. After his call with Tim Ravel from Latusia and additional research, No Futuristic has updates regarding the prevention of the DAO Foundation from being struck off. No Futuristic.
Okay, so it turns out the update from last week is our foundation only had 3 listed directors. So we need to KYC 3 listed directors. So I believe me, China, I think Hardcore is in the process, and Thrax have already said that we can do it. Now, we don't have to do anything with Mycalium. We do have to, I think, have a formal document. So we got a proposal from Latusia. They updated the proposal because now we need a document basically stating that Mycalium is no longer part of the board that has to be presented to the Cayman Islands to remove him as a director. We can still KYC and get that in order, but that has to now happen as part of this. And then basically, after we are safe and no longer at risk of being struck off, we can then go to Latusia and then have them fix the foundation in the sense of, are we supposed to have 9 directors listed on the foundation? If they are on the foundation, they need to be KYC'd at that heightened level. Are multi-sig signers separate? Because there's a certain level of governance that we need within our foundation that we are not doing. In terms of keeping records, as like thinking as a company, not as a DAO, we're not being compliant and haven't been compliant for 2 years because in a lot of ways, the directors are just multi-sig signers. We just sign. There was never like an imperative to basically take care of this administrative necessary needs for the DAO Foundation. We have to do that. So I believe, and Tim Ravel can come on, AKA Johnson, we have to speak to basically having a director listed, potentially a supervisor and a member. We have to talk about having a secretary, potentially a president and a treasurer. I know we have the treasurer, so I think that's fine, but I don't know if he needs to be on the document. But we have to basically make sure that we're set up to be able to pay back Pixelcraft, who's going to front us this money so that we can get this done. Because if we don't get it done by the end of the month, we get struck off. And I'll speak from a personal standpoint because I didn't know I was listed. I knew I would be a director, but There's only 3 of us. If we get struck off and don't revive the company by the 31st, we can do it, but it becomes more expensive. If we don't do it, basically me and the other 2 directors that are listed would be blacklisted from doing business in the Cayman Islands, which to me is not a huge risk, but it's not ideal because that's not fair. Like, I don't think that's a appropriate outcome for this. So the TLDR is, it seems like we have the correct number of people to KYC. They've been submitted documents to Johnson. He needed them by Monday, I believe. So he has got those in his possession. We're waiting to get feedback from him. He can then go and fix the foundation. We would then do everything we need to after this process, but we need to create some kind of like structure, because although the DAO wants to be decentralized, the Cayman Islands doesn't give a fuck about that. Our company needs to be in order. So we have to make sure that we have the proper things in place to do this. I would suggest that after we do this, that's why I say with the discretionary funding, because we need to get legal counsel. We should be getting advisement on this. We can't just do that currently. And it's way beyond the scope of what like just being a multi-sig signer is. So we need to have like real discussions on how to do this. But in the meanwhile, it seems like we are at a point where we should be able to this week know that we can get the foundation back in order. But we'll have to repay Pixelcraft, of course. It's looking like it's over. I don't know if Choni can do this, if he can help me out here. If you can drop the update to the proposal that Johnson emailed us into the conversation, because then you could see the full line-by-line items for what it's going to cost at this time, but then going forward, like the annual cost for these services, which are, I believe, are like $6,800, but whatever extra compliance shit. I know I was speaking fast. If there are any questions, I'll go back and look, but I haven't really been... Can't really say. Call the planning and sleeping during the weekly argument. Everyone has been screaming marketing and gifts. Okay. If you have a relevant question or any comments, feel free to jump in or raise your hand because it would be helpful.
No, Feature, I asked Johnson for some clarification on the KYC for the other directors that besides the 3, because I saw you guys were discussing that issue. I haven't heard back from him yet, though.
Yeah, from what I understand, multi-sig signers can be separate from the directors because, like, it's a legal entity. We just have to make sure we have people in place on the entity's documents and actually making sure that we're executing the administrative stuff for compliance, which I don't think is actually that much. It's just making sure that there's regular contact with the CorpSec, making sure that they exist, which is...
No, but I think there is still a level of KYC required for multi-sig signers, because you can't just have a bunch of, we're not anons in this community to most extent, the way that other multi-sigs might be. But either way, you can't just have a bunch of people that you don't like, whose identities are unknown as a multi-sig signer. So there's going to be some level of KYC. And I just see people in the director's chat saying that they don't seem to want to do a KYC, or maybe I'm misunderstanding, or there's like a spectrum here.
If I could...
Some people seem to be like, no, I don't want a KYC at all, maybe.
There's the worry, I think, and I think it's a little bit unfounded, is that we have a request for a couple of extra documents. One is a reference, professional reference saying that, you're not a dirtbag. The second one is basically you're submitting, obviously, your identification and proof of address. We did that on the first one, so I don't think that should be a big deal to anybody. This one has a statement of wealth and then like statement of income or client information. So the statement of wealth, like for me, it was easy because I don't have wealth. I just put down I'm a content creator. There's literally, there's nothing beyond that. My family doesn't own anything. They're not checking this. If and I'm not saying skirt the law or anything, but it's not like this is being reported directly to like I feel like a taxation entity in your local country. So, I mean, maybe some of the directors are, wealthy beyond my imagination. I just assume they're people, so I don't think of them like that. So I don't understand the risk, because to me, it's like, it was literally a form. It's not like I had to add like the tracking numbers or routing numbers to my bank accounts and my crypto addresses. I didn't have to do any of that. It was just like, no, I'm not on a board of another company. No, basic questions like that for compliance.
So yeah, that's what I'm asking, is because I saw some people are like unable or unwilling to do that level of KYC, and makes sense. That was not originally in when the election happened. That level was not outlined like that. It would be that kind of intense. So my question to Johnson was just, we don't need that level of KYC for every signer. I don't think. But I'm just waiting for him to get back on that. But exactly what KYC is required to be a signer, still not totally sure about.
Yeah, I don't
But
remember.
maybe you guys covered that on your call with. I was not on that call with him, so maybe you guys.
I'm trying to remember
that.
if he mentioned that specifically. Thrax might remember, but he did. Like, we did talk to him about the idea that like the main thing is like to start, we need the 3 people because there's 3 directors listed on the Cayman Island entity, so we at least need that. And then he said multi-sig signers don't necessarily have to be members of the board. Of the foundation. We just need to at least have 3, and then we can amend it with the Cayman Islands, because you can create one with just one director, but the director is a separate thing. It's a corporate piece versus like the multi-sig, which is like separate. Like not all the multi-sig signers have to be members of the foundation. If that makes sense, yeah.
What would you say is the biggest hurdle so far with this process?
For me, I'd say it's the fact that it's just a matter of getting all the information together, because this stuff, if we had the proper pieces in place already, it would be a breeze. It's just like updating CorpSec and making sure certain things are done. Things that I've said before that we kind of turned down would have been like, I've talked about us having minutes, us making sure that all of these meetings are recorded. I know we have the facilitators now, but there was a long time where that wasn't like a mandate of the DAO, like when all the way back to the media team, where it's like, no, we need to keep records of all this. Because Johnson, when I speak to him, he understands DAOs, but he's like, the vote doesn't matter. Where are the meetings? Did you guys have a resolution where we all decided that Mycalium is no longer down? Or like, did he formally resign? He's like, did he give us a document that we could file with the Cayman Islands? These are things that as multi-sig signers and as Web3 citizens, we're not thinking about, because our governance is simple. We vote on chain, we execute the will of the DAO. This is different. This is like, we have to step into Web2 and then put the big boy pants on and go into the office and make sure that, our little bustling DAO can, be legally cool, so that we don't have that liability spread to all of us as DAO members. Right now, that has fallen into disrepair. It was avoidable, but it's fixed now. But that's why we really need to have a conversation about scope, because being a multi-sig signer is a different thing. I've spent a decent amount of my personal time just trying to do this because it does personally affect me. But this is a role beyond that. So we have to think about these things and start, because I know in the past we've been very hesitant about like executive teams or like any kind of centralized leadership. But this is different. Like, it's not centralized leadership that leads the treasury that has purse strings, but it's literally the administrative part on paper to be like legally cool, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does.
And we only have 18 days to do this, so it's kind of a ticking time bomb. We have to get it done fast, because the KYC part is going to take some time, and then he has to do all his stuff, and then we should be good. If we get struck off, though, we are then liable for anything that happens at that point. We're covered up until that strike off. After that, we're not. And we can always reinstitute, but to get the entity back after the strike off, we have to go through the courts, which is going to be way more expensive, because then we need to hire lawyers to represent us and then go through that process, which, Lotusha, that CorpSec can do that for us, but there's going to be fees associated with it.
Hey, no future. Yeah, had a multiple calls with Tim and Johnson, the guys over at Latushka, and got you your letter back that you needed. And not sure. I think the last thing needed is Chonya to also do the same, and that's a lot of pressure on a guy. Um, but I mean, we're basically at a point where Lutusha is willing to take this, and we're willing to share Lutusha with the DAO. Um, but the calls I had this last week, it was basically expressed that we have to have it done by, like, it's actually overdue. So like if we don't have it by Monday, there's no guarantees that the DAO is going to be able to not have to fall into default or whatever you want to call it. So is that the same message that you got? It sounds like that's what you're describing.
Yeah, basically, time is of the essence. Hardcore has offered to do the KYC. I'm not sure if he has or if anything has stopped him because I've read some of the conversation, but I believe me and Thrax have already done it. So if Choiner or Hardcore both do it, there's nothing lost by that, you know. But just to make sure if they can to do it, the documents are not that difficult. Like it was just really, I was surprised. I was like, damn, I'm filling out like IRS tax forms. It's like it seems like just straight up like just me declaring like what I have and what I'm doing and all that. Okay, so Choina did send in the documents. So we should be good assuming that the documents come back and are fine. Like, we've met the criteria. But like I said, there are PDFs. I think we're fine. Yeah, so then the next step is once we are in good standing with the Cayman Islands, we can then have a conversation of how do we move forward. Because like I said, we need to then figure out if all the multi-sig signers need to be KYC'd at that higher level, or if it's like fine, because they're not. The reason you needed it before, I believe, is because we're going on to the incorporation documents, and you have to kind of prove that to the Cayman Islands. I don't know if that's necessary, and Coder Dan has asked, so we'll figure that out. Once we have that information, then we have to figure out going forward what we need to do for our reporting to make sure that we're compliant, like, cool. That we're doing what we need to do. We're not running into issues. We don't like lapse liability. And then there's going to obviously be cost associated with that. And then developing a budget to have that go for, on an annual basis.
Did Johnson mention what like the cost would be given the current circumstances if we meet deadlines and everything gets done?
Yeah, I have it in an email. I can try to find the email. I don't know if China dropped it up above, but I'll find the email. It was updated. Oh no, actually it's in the DAO discussion, I think. We had to add in like another $1,600 for what's it called? The documents that we need. Thrax had done a good job trying to create a document, but I guess didn't meet the standard that Johnson needed. Okay, so here it is. Proposal for Cayman Island Foundation. Let me just download it and then drop it in. Oh, there you go. He has it there. So you can see it. I'll bring it up on stream so the homies listening can check it out. Basically, the handling the documents and procedure for removal of director, that was a one-off fee of $800. Transfer of agent, that's the $1,000 one-off fee. Handling of missing documents, $1,000 one-off fee. Submission of 2024 filings because we didn't file last year, and restoration of company status, $1,800 one-off fee. Need to communicate with authority for this. We then have a penalty for late filing of remove of director because we're supposed to, if we remove directors, technically I don't think he even, like, we probably have to speak to him after because we didn't do that for Maury either, change anything with the CorpSec. Our annual services fee will be $6,800. So that's going to be the base fee that we have to pay them every year for handling this. Certification of documents will be $200 per document. That's going to be, I guess, for all the KYC stuff. And then their accounting fees, which will be quoted to us after. And that's like basically compliance penalties and tax filing, like fees and penalties because we didn't file for 2 years potentially. So we're gonna have to pay back Pixelcraft and then also pay fines for what we missed because we didn't do what we were supposed to do for the last 2 years. After that, we're like up to date, and then we develop our plan to go forward. Yeah, I think that's really Choin is saying it because the CorpSec, like what's supposed to happen is the CorpSec acts as our agent and they basically handle all of our stuff. They should communicate with us. They never, from my understanding, communicated to anybody within the DAO before they went out of business, the original one. So yeah, it makes sense because we didn't file a tax return for the first year or any kind of not that we had to. I don't even know if we had to file a tax return, but some kind of filing with the government. Didn't get that, and then they went out of business at some point in the last 2 years. So with Lotusha, at least we know directly now the DAO has a channel with him, like the directors for CorpSec, so we can communicate directly with our CorpSec. So if we need to make changes, it's a much easier process. But starting out, that wasn't clear. It was more just multi-sig sign. And I say it and people make fun of me, but monkey with a ledger. The monkey doesn't jump up and start representing companies at meetings or in front of government entities. He just has a ledger. He signs when you tell him to sign. That's it. So it's like, to me, it's like that makes perfect sense. So anything above and beyond that that's never been like that's never been an expectation. I have a gotchi named Monkey with a Ledger for a reason. It's it's very clear.
And it wasn't supposed to be like that. Was not part of the job description. The CorpSec is supposed to handle all that, but unfortunately, yeah, as Tronia said, CorpSec rugged, and we got to. I'm just glad that we discovered this, a month before the actual this realistic deadline, and kind of praying that, praying that we're able to rectify it before they strike the entity down.
Also very fortunate. Just there were, a lot more multi-sig signers. There are, and Nofu and Tonya are two of the three that are on that actual document and have to deal with this stuff. And just kudos to you guys for stepping up and being more than just ledger signers. And it's not easy and maybe not comfortable, but you guys are stepping up and doing that. So good on you guys.
Yeah, no food for no president, but secretary. I would say you've done a great job helping guide the foundation through this whole process. So if there is a secretary role, you should definitely go for it.
I'll say it's the one time in 20 years that previously working in tax accounting within the Cayman Islands specifically helped, but all I did was do check the box entities. So it was completely different, but it's like, oh yeah, I've interacted. I kind of get most of what we have to do. Roxiano, is there any other discussions or forum posts that we should be diving into?
No. And I would ask more questions if I kind of knew what more was going on. But yeah, there was some I can say a few things about what was new in the forums in the past week. There wasn't much. There was literally just one thing in the Pizza DAO sponsorship channel. Let me copy that. They basically, snacks were called the last year's contribution of $1,337, $1,337 from Aavegotchi when we partnered in Denver, Paris, Toronto, and Hangzhou. And it seems that Aavegotchi will have an increased contribution in 2025 because of our heavy need for marketing. I could be wrong. The proposal is not out yet, but that was something that was mentioned in that Discord chat. I don't know if there's anything new to discuss about Pizza DAO because we just had them on last weekend. But yeah, I guess that is something that we have to look forward to. Also, I do think that we would get we as a DAO will get through this hurdle. Even though I don't really obviously you guys are more the ones, you especially No Future, are handling the specifics and everything. And I think that like since it's already been overdue, like you said, maybe they'll drag their feet a little more and not strike us out. You know. Oh, Musashi says the proposal will likely be put up today. That's good news for the Pizza DAO. Yeah, yeah. The DAO is in need of an executive assistant. Yeah, I think maybe a better structure is good. I think that right now, where does the liability go if something happens? I mean, I don't know if like there
Okay,
would
for
be
from a
any
real world
consequences of
perspective here,
liability.
from a real world
Huh?
perspective, the liability if the DAO foundation dissolves, it goes to me, Choina, and Mycalium because we're the listed directors. The other six, technically seven, because we did have one director switch out. They're not listed on the documents, from what Johnson can see. So it would directly hit us. Now, the DAO hasn't done anything crazy. I mean, maybe OVIX or whatever crazy shit like that. But the bigger issue, like the more pertinent issue, is that all three of us would get like blacklisted from being able to incorporate and do stuff in the Cayman Islands. Now, I have no intentions I've never, other than doing it for other people, have incorporated an entity in the Cayman Islands. I don't plan on doing that at any point, but I also don't want to have like that on my thing. Like, fuck, like, what did I do in the Cayman Islands? I got banned. Like, what the fuck? Like, it doesn't look good on the report card.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Um,
And
so
then
yeah,
Ditchy knows a lot more about this because he's been commenting a lot about it. And the risk is that if a lawsuit did come about, then the potential that like not just us, like the directors, but that they want to KYC the DAO. Like I don't know the legal like the full spectrum of it, but that's a threat on the horizon. Like if something were to happen, that's why getting this in order and keeping that shield of liability up is super important.
definitely. Could there be like maybe we could I don't know how the DAO would respond to a proposal to appoint the the uh executives who would actually be able to handle all this stuff, or if anyone is volunteering. Oh, Hardcore looks like he will volunteer
I assume we
possibly.
would probably do something similar to what we did with Maxi Crouton, where it's like we put out a proposal, we need a treasurer, we kind of all agreed Maxi would be the perfect fit, and then we kind of gave that guidance to the DAO, put up a prop, they said yeah, and then Maxi became the treasurer, and then get a pay increase. So what we might need to do here is like it depends on what we have to talk more to Johnson, but what the structure is in terms of like what we actually need for reporting. It seems like we just need someone to like communicate with the DAO, like on behalf of the DAO over like news and stuff like that to Johnson, like updates. But there is a level of corporate structure that we're supposed to have, like in terms of like having minutes. Like technically, think about it like this, right? This DAO meeting would not qualify as a like the minutes of a board because that means that us, the 9 multi-sig signers, if we are the directors, we're supposed to have meetings, we're supposed to have minutes. This could like we could say this is the meeting, but right now this is just a community meeting with no real like requirements about who is supposed to be here, what we're supposed to talk about. It's not as deep as that, but there are certain like things that we have to cover, and Johnson can let us know, and then we could. This is all after we get the thing up to date so we're not struck off. But we got to figure these things out to make sure that we're being compliant. I don't think it's a lot, but it's definitely like, compliance related stuff. So once we figure that out, figuring out the multi-sig signers need to get to the depth of KYC that Johnson requires. I don't think they do, honestly, because they're not being listed on the documents, but there's probably a level of KYC that they definitely have to do.
Okay, yeah. And I'm seeing in the chat people there's more than one who's volunteering. Musashi I don't know who would want to. Maybe Athrax said who am I, KYC chop liver. But yeah, so maybe it seems like everything is up in the air who uh like I don't know. There's a little bit of discourse about who's actually like I don't know. I don't know what the official documents say, but yeah. maybe it's just trolling, but yeah. All this um solidification definitely should be very more clear than it is. But yeah. Other than that, I don't really have any questions or opinions. And I believe that's everything that I have on the agenda today, unfortunately. So if there's anything more. Should there be further discussion on the topic?
No,
Is there like a clear plan
yeah,
of
I
what's
mean,
going
as
to
of right
happen?
now, we will continue to check in with Johnson in our CorpSec channel. Probably ping him on Monday and make sure that he got the documents, that we're good to go, and then kind of follow up with him. We can try to have another meeting with him at some point this week. I'll record it, and depending on what he says in our chat, to figure out how we can take the next steps towards like making sure our governance is in compliance on the corporate side. So what we have to do, like if we have to switch out directors, do we have to change the number of directors? Does it go up to 9? Like what levels of KYC we need? The emergency is like kind of, it seems like it's been taken care of once he, assuming he's cool with the KYC that we currently have.
Okay, yeah. So he's like a lawyer, right?
So he's a corporate secretary that Pixelcraft has like suggested to us, that works with them in Singapore, that has CorpSec agent duties all over the world. So because they were advising that we could also go to another jurisdiction, and they do that, but that the first solution is fix this one, because it kind of becomes a pain in the neck after that.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we shall wait for more info about this. And yeah, I think that about wraps it up. Thank you, everybody who participated in this call. And I don't necessarily believe, contrary to what Golden Cross said earlier in the call, I don't believe that we're hanging on by a hair. I do think that there is hope. So let's hold on to Aavegotchi, guys. Not all is lost. Thank you, everybody. And I believe that is all for today. And I hope everyone
right,
has
thanks,
a good
friends.
weekend. Thank you.
Enjoy the rest of your weekend.
You too.
Take it easy, friends.
Later.